Hello, this is Nikki Labonte, Associate Operations Director of the Kendall Betts Horn Camp, and I am here with Peter Kurau, Professor of Horn at the Eastman School of Music and also one of the faculty members at Kendall Betts. Thank you so much for taking the time to let me interview you.
Do I have any choice in this matter?
No, you didn't. But here we are anyway, and we're happy to be
We
here.
never spend enough time together anyway. Over the RPL.
We don't.
We never do.
This
So,
is the
any
first.
chance we get to bond, I'm in favor of it.
Great. This is the first time that we've ever met. It's going well.
Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit?
So actually, you're Associate Operations Director?
I am the Associate Operations.
Technically, you'd be my boss, wouldn't you?
No.
Are you going to bully me around a
I'm
little
not
bit?
going to bully you around.
Baloney. Of course you are. This is like one of your longtime fantasies. It's finally come true. It is too.
Not it. Okay, so returning to the topic, can you talk about your involvement with camp because you've been there longer than I have, much longer. So talk about your involvement.
Sure. I had the chance to be involved in camp early on, and it's mostly because Kendall hatched the idea of camp when we were both serving on the advisory council for the International Horn Society. So I'm not sure if I was at the very, very first one, which was held up at the White Mountain School, but I might have been at perhaps the second or third one when it was still located there. And I was privileged and happy to be involved in the inception of the camp, although I didn't have anything to do with the planning of it. I was very grateful that he issued me the invitation to be involved at that point. And I stayed with the camp for quite a while, and then had to take a couple of years off due to some other responsibilities I had, and I've rejoined the camp. You would know better than I, but probably for the last 10 years or so, I think I've been there.
At least that, yeah.
Yeah, and I look forward to it every summer.
Excellent. What about it are you most looking forward to?
There's a lot of different issues that I like about the camp. It's first of all, it's a gorgeous setting. I really enjoy connecting with my faculty and staff colleagues for the time I'm there. And I enjoy also meeting the students from all levels, whether it's the high school campers or the college kids or even the adults that are there. It's a wonderful group of people all rallying around the goal of trying to make their horn playing better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the strong suits of camp. Do you find that adult participants have the chance to work here when they're in an environment with high school and college participants? It's kind of a rare um, combination of different walks of life that we have at camp. How do you think that interaction with the adult students?
Well, I think there's a sort of level playing field in terms of what people get out of camp because, first of all, as you know, everybody has a certain chore to do.
Mhm.
I've become really quite good at sweeping the floors, although I have equal expertise in sweeping crumbs off tabletops. And I even have been known to make lunchtime salads. I was really good at that. Really good.
I do not believe
No,
that.
I was very good at that. So everybody's got a chore, which I think is actually good because you can actually carry on some good conversations with people that way, and it gets rid of any kind of a perceived hierarchy within the faculty and the staff. So I really actually like that part of it. And everybody's there not to show off, but just make their horn playing better and to enjoy music better.
Absolutely. What's the most interesting conversation you've had while sweeping the floor?
Well, would it count like sweeping crumbs off of a table?
I think that would
Would
fit
that?
into this category.
Yeah. Well, one of the adult campers, her daytime job is a veterinarian, and so we were talking about. Actually, she brought this up, not me, but she said she could neuter a male cat right on that table in about 15 seconds. So that she brought that up because she knew that I had some cats to deal with at home, and she said the male cats are no problem at all. She could get that done. Maybe 30 seconds, right on the table.
That's amazing. Did
Yeah.
you take her up on
I
that?
did not
offer?
take her up on it, but I've got her name and number just in case.
Next year, come to camp because a male cat will be neutered right on the tablecloth. Great. What what type of mindset do you think is best to have in a camp in approaching the camp
I think that one thing that campers would benefit from embracing is the fact that the camp is there to make their horn playing better. And some, especially college kids, I think they go to a summer activity festival, for example, and they view it as a performance festival. So they have, orchestra and chamber music and solo classes and stuff like that. And I don't think that this camp is set up that way. I don't think that's the mission of the camp. This is more nuts and bolts, like here's what you need to do to get better, and this will make your horn playing better and everything that you embrace. But if you're looking for something to get a lot of performance experience, playing an orchestra, for example, this is not your place. This is the place to get better for your own individual horn playing, be able to try it out in master classes, to be able to try out those improvements in a solo venue, but not so much in terms of orchestral experience.
What about camp do you think allows participants to focus on their own horn playing in comparison to the orchestral performance they talked about?
Well, I mean, they get individual lessons, private lessons. There's also group lessons, students of similar age and ability. There are group master classes. There's plenty of time for individual practice to try to hone these ideas and bring them to fruition. When I've sent some of my students there to be campers, um, I really believe this. I said that in 1 week, for example, at camp, you'll get enough ideas sent your way to keep you fully occupied for the rest of the summer. If you write them down and you actually pay attention to this, you have the rest of the summer to actually try to implement them and incorporate them into your playing. As opposed to, for example, getting ready for the next ensemble rehearsal or the next orchestra concert. Where you're just, to some extent, you're kind of on a treadmill and not able to actually improve as much as you might if you have time to actually give time to focus practice.
Taking the time to fully digest all of the
Exactly.
ideas being presented without having to spend too much time on rep.
Right. Right.
When you mentioned group lessons. When you have a group lesson come in, how do you typically structure that time in a way that, I mean, I've never seen group lessons in many other locations. Sometimes it can be daunting to teach an entire group of people at once. How do you typically structure your group lessons?
I usually have 2 or 3 different possibilities. One is to just do a guided warm up for that particular group. The other possibility is I will ask the group, what topics would you like to have addressed? What's bugging you today? What do you want to talk about? And we can tailor that class based upon the response of those of the students in that class. Or the other is, if the student wants to come in, they want to work on particular solo. I'll allocate a certain amount of that group session to work with that individual, and then a portion of the time so that everybody gets a crack to work on something that they have a personal interest in doing. But if we go that way, then I want to make sure that whatever principles I might address with regard to an individual student, that I try to make sure that those principles are universally transferable to the other students too, so that they benefit from the individual work I do with a particular person. They also can benefit from that in their own practicing.
I remember the situation we met at home camp when I was a high school camper. I was in a group lesson with another student, and I learned a lot just by listening to what she was saying or what you were talking to her about, and the problems that she was struggling with on the horn were also applicable to me. So I can see that in the times that I've had group lessons with you at camp as well. What?
I will say
Yeah.
you're fairly unique in that regard, but I very much appreciate that aspect of you.
Okay.
Among other things too, but that you're able to take comments that are actually offered to a different person and generalize them to work for your own personal betterment. But most of the world is not like you. This is a plus.
This is a compliment on camera, and you all witnessed it. So, looking at we talked about a lot how camp provides plenty of practice opportunity to focus in on the fundamentals. There are solo performance opportunities. When campers are considering whether or not they would like to engage in those opportunities, what do you think is important for them? What can you get out of that solo opportunity? What is the point of that being offered at camp, do you think?
Well, it's kind of frosting on the cake kind of experience, so that you can, the solo opportunities are usually, I think, Friday and Saturday of the week.
Mhm.
So the last two evening events of the week. And the students that are selected for that will have had lessons on that repertoire, will have had a solo coaching, probably with Frank Lloyd, I think, and tremendous, there were tremendous collaborative pianists on staff, Sherry Rhodes, who is just top notch, and she also coaches the students as well. But I mean, she's totally reliable. So it should be a high quality experience for the campers that are selected to do solos, and they will have had time to work on those solos and the principles by which they can play those solos in their group and individual lessons, not to mention their own individual practice.
Mm.
Furthermore, the audience is extremely supportive. It's probably 90% campers and horn players, and no one knows better than a horn player what it's like to be playing a solo in front of horn players. So it's a very supportive and congenial group.
Mm. Also on those concerts, well, I'm thinking of it is the ensembles. And
Mhm.
every year I know that you coach an ensemble. When you work with that ensemble, what is your goal? Is it to get the good performance at the end of the week? I'm sure that you're also working on other ensemble etiquette and how to play in a large group or play in a horn section. What kind of things do you typically talk about when working on
With regard to ensembles, I just want to make sure we have a quality performance with all of the elements that go into that, such as good ensemble, good tone production, matching articulations, good intonation, good rhythm. So I try to pick a repertoire in which my particular ensemble that year can excel, rather than, for example, picking repertoire that might be extremely challenging and difficult, and we would only perhaps come up to about the 80th percentile. I'd rather pick stuff that I know we can really kick butt on and sound good doing so.
those? Excellent. Well, I think that's really exciting. It's really great. Thanks so much for talking with me. I appreciate you taking the time.
Did I
Uh,
mention the food?
oh, stop. Stop the presses. Please talk about the food.
This camp is basically in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's very, very remote.
Uh-huh,
I mean, New Hampshire is kind of like that.
uh-huh.
I remember driving out of the camp to go into town once, and there's a live porcupine right by the side of the road. Now, we don't eat porcupine there,
That is not the
no,
food.
but it's amazing how much they do with being out in the boondocks. I
Hmm.
mean, there's so much stuff that's just made from scratch, homemade.
Right.
It's really, really good. And I
Good.
have to be on my best behavior not to just, gorge on
Mm.
some of the food there.
Right. And
Exactly.
I know that you are always on the list for the chocolate chip cookies that are
I
provided by
always take a
Chili.
six pack home. Yeah. What's that they sell?
I
Six
know,
packs.
I know.
Yeah.
I've just never heard cookies spoken
I think Lowell, my colleague
that way.
Lowell Greer, I think he buys three of them, three six packs, but they rarely make it back to Toledo. He eats them on the road.
Well,
They're that good.
you've got a long drive back to Rochester, so I think you at least two.
Too,
Next
probably, yeah.
time. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Well, thank you again.
Thank you,
I
Nikki.
mean, as long as you've gotten everything off your chest about the food that you need to
The
talk
food is
about.
great. Two big thumbs up on that.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time.
All
I
right.
really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you. See you up there.